Hello, people. This is Detroit Miracle, and I am here to talk about that incident that went down between Wesley Snipes and Jennifer Lopez. Yeah, it's a very touchy subject, and it's something that's personal. Now, many of us may comment on it and give our own opinionation and viewpoint, but neither of us was actually there on the scene, so we cannot confirm what was said between both parties nor what went down between those sheets. I have to admit that I watched that sex scene a couple of times in order to determine whether Jennifer Lopez felt uncomfortable or not. Yeah, and I must admit that I really couldn't tell because it seemed like a normal Hollywood simulated sex scene. And I figure that if she felt uncomfortable at some point during the filming, she would have yelled out, "Stop, get off me. This man is attacking me. He's violating me. He's rubbing himself up against me inappropriately." You would think that if she felt that uncomfortable, she would have complained about it. But nevertheless, she didn't. Okay, I have been following this story closely because it's popping up all over social media. So I had to give my personal feeling towards the matter eventually. And it's like I said before, everything I would say would be opinionated. So I would be a bit biased with that same opinionation because I was not there. I was not open to any conversation that went down between J-Lo and Wesley Snipes prior to the filming. And I was not there doing the actual filming to get a more closer up close of those events. Well, I'm gonna break it down. Jennifer Lopez made a claim and an allegation that Wesley Snipes coerced her into doing that sex scene. She also said that Wesley Snipes told her that if she didn't do it, she would get a bad reputation around Hollywood and then get a label of being difficult to work with. Now, if that conversation really happened as she said it did, then that sounds like coercion, or that sounds like someone pressuring somebody into doing something that they're not comfortable with. Yeah, people, what's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. I was hoping that Wesley Snipes would come out and comment on Jennifer Lopez's recent comments. Yeah, I was hoping that he would come out and say something, but he's remaining silent. And that doesn't make him look completely innocent, but it don't necessarily make him look guilty either. Hey, if a woman accused me of something that I didn't do and she put it all over the world, I would be the first one to stand up and say, that woman is lying. She's not telling the truth. Those events didn't go down the way she said they did. I would come out and say something in my defense. But if Wesley is the type of person that plays it cool, then he's not gonna even bother making comments on that. If he's innocent, he might be the type of guy that says, I'm not gonna even dignify that with an answer. And in defense of Wesley Snipes, Jennifer Lopez said she was uncomfortable doing a simulated sex scene with him, but she apparently wasn't uncomfortable doing sex scenes with other actors later on in films. Yes, because she has done at least a couple of sex scenes on film which were simulated after Wesley Snipes and after that very incident. Yeah, so I would think that she would put stipulations in her contract to say, look, I feel uncomfortable doing this sex scene, so I would prefer that you use a body double in it. Especially if what she said was true about Wesley Snipes and that whole ugly incident. And as we know it, she has became even more famous throughout the years. So A-list actresses and actors can get clauses like that in their contracts, which states that they don't have to do simulated sex scenes on camera, or they can just quite simply get replaced with a body double. Hey people, I'm not jumping on the ladies or saying that Jennifer Lopez is wrong or lying, because there are so many women a year that are being sexually harassed and mistreated, and there are even women that are being attacked. So I am an advocate for women's justice and women's rights there, and I think that women have the right to say no, and they have a right not to be bothered in that type of way, which might make them feel uncomfortable. And it definitely would make them feel uncomfortable. Yes, the thing with Wesley Snipes is questionable, and that whole thing pertaining to him involves Jennifer Lopez, of course. Hey, she's a very attractive woman, so any guy would love to do a sex scene with her on camera, even if it's simulated, because he would get to rub up against her and kiss on her. So I can't blame Wesley Snipes for wanting to do a love scene with her on camera, but it's things that you do and it's things that you don't do, and you have to respect people's rights and privacy. Yeah, I'm gonna keep this thing going a bit because I wanted to touch on something else. Now, there are a lot of social media personalities that are throwing the race card in it. They're saying that Jennifer Lopez threw Wesley Snipes under the bus because he's black. And there are many of social media personalities also accusing J-Lo of using black men as stepping stones to get where she wants to go. And then once she's there, she gets with white men or white Hispanic men. That might very well be the case in situations where people have used other people as stepping stones to get where they want. You would call that game. There are either certain men that would call it using the pimp mentality and being exploitive. Now, when guys do it, those same men have no problem with it. But when women apply that same game and pimp mentality, everyone comes out and says, oh, she's a user, she's a gold digger, she used men as stepping stones. So you have to be fair, and you can't be irrational or irrational when you say certain things. You have to attack both sides of people for using that same type of method in order to get over in society. Yes, people, we all know it that Jennifer Lopez grew up poor. And in fact, she came from dirt poverty in Puerto Rico. She didn't grow up under wealth or privilege. So she felt that she had to apply those methods in order to obtain much in life and get over. You know, those men that, well, those guys that she may have used as stepping stones weren't too uncomfortable with that because they got something out of her in return. And people like Wesley Snipes made millions of dollars from those films, and he might have made a couple of million from that same film that he did with her, where she might have only made a couple of $100,000. I gotta say something strictly for the brothers on this issue. Hey people, I feel as though everyone has a right to date whoever they want if they're grown and if both are mutually in agreement with getting together. And those same dudes that are claiming race and throwing a race card out there, well, I would say the producers of that film and Wesley Snipes should have said, hey, hire a black woman. I'd rather work with a sister. I'd rather work with a black woman because I feel most comfortable doing a sex scene with her. Now, if you're doing sex scenes with women and other races and they are showing signs that they are uncomfortable with that, then it should raise a red flag. And that red flag might be racially motivated, but it might not be. So the people that are quick to throw the race card out there, then just stick with your own races and your own colors. Like I said, I don't know what went down on the set of Money Train because that conversation wasn't made available to me. Well, people, you might agree with me and you might disagree, but I hope that you would voice your opinionations through comments, and please drop those likes or dislikes and feel free to subscribe to my channel.